Have you ever felt like you're running on an empty tank and just juggling life's demands? I think many of us do, right? The secret here to endless energy and really success, it isn't found in like a magic potion or a magic wand. Believe me, I went and looked for those things. I thought I could find the easy button somewhere, but I found it in the power of consistency. And I know, not the most sexiest of topics, but let's talk about how some almost hesitate to call them small daily habits, but consistent habits that may not seem like the most significant on the surface. So I'm going to call them small. That's why I'm calling them that. But how those can really transform our energy levels and overall well-being, and really make even those busiest of days seem manageable, because a lot of us, we give our power away to so many things outside of us that we feel like we don't have time for things or that we need to put things off. But before we dive into all this great stuff, I mean, if you're looking to have a supercharged life and hit your goals, head over to talktoperry.com. That's where you and I can have a little conversation. I have opened that up specifically for podcast listeners and viewers. So I've got the YouTube channel with podcast, and there's also a daily podcast that comes out on wherever you listen to the podcast app. But at talktoperry.com, you head over there, and I've opened that specifically for podcast listeners. We tap into those energy reserves, and we set you on the path to reclaiming your power. That means charging up your mental and physical battery. Speaking of that, welcome to another Power Blast podcast, where we provide nourishment for the soul, allowing you to transform from the inside out, providing rapid results in mindset and fitness so that you can recharge that battery of yours and reclaim your power. So let's talk about consistency. Might not be the most sexiest or the most glamorous, but the thing is, the impact is so profound. I mean, you think of any sports things or people that have become a musician or a performer, or even somebody who's gotten really good at their job, or even just as a parent, or whatever it is that people have done. Chances are they've done some consistent actions to get really good at whatever it is that they do, right? It's kind of like laying those bricks, and building that foundation. Now, I get it. It's like, oh my gosh, we built the foundation. That doesn't look, super awesome or monumental. But when you really start, let's go with starting your morning. And you don't have to do this morning routine or anything like that. As a matter of fact, if you want to vary up your morning routine, I do have a free kind of my ritual that I do that you're free to have. That's over at morningsuccesshabits.com. And totally free. You can have that. But let's say you start your morning off with a little bit of gratitude. Not a little bit, but a little power session of gratitude, some meditation. Maybe it's taking a short walk, maybe even another short walk at lunch, choosing water over maybe sugary drinks of some sort. Those things. So here's what I'm wanting you to think of. And here's what worked for me, especially with the fitness stuff. When I found myself going on my fitness journey, and then I was off my fitness journey, and then I was on it, and I was off it, and the same thing with eating. Look at your activities and your behaviors. And don't look at it as, oh, I know what to do, I just need to do it. Dial in. What are those consistent things that you can do, that you're willing to do? They may not seem super impactful, but maybe it's, I think I talked about habit stacking on my last podcast, where you've always got your water bottle right there, and it always gets filled up. Or maybe for me, I wake up in the morning, when I go out into the kitchen, there's always my cup right there. My cup gets filled up. It's 30 ounces of water. I chug that thing down. Yeah, I chug it. Now, some people freak out and they're like, oh my gosh, way too much water. But after sleeping, that's my hydration moment. Then that cup gets filled up and it goes with me to my workout. But it's those things that I put into place. Is it simple for me to set the cup out? Yes. Is it simple for me to fill it up? Yes. Is it simple for me to drink it? Yes. But you're setting yourself up for little simple successes that, when you consistently do those over time, That's pretty amazing. So here's the simple system I set up for myself to make sure that I showed up for my workouts. I did two things. One, um, well, I did a few things, but let me give you three things. One, I made the choice to decide. I decided to work out from home and not spend an extravagant amount on my gym equipment, although I built some stuff over the years, but it was resistance bands, a set of dumbbells, and maybe push-up bars. And then I had my workouts played on the television with a trainer there telling me what to do. So I took the guest workout of what to do. I had the equipment right there, so I didn't have to negotiate myself, do I go to the gym or not? So I did that. Now I still needed to show up. So here's what I did with that. I created a little habit stack for myself that instead of coming home from an hour drive, because I was a full-time teacher, ran my own business, I was running a German Shepherd rescue, and after I came home, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to sit and unwind. I took that unwinding moment because that usually led into lazier habits throughout the day. I removed it and just said, I'm doing an extended day. When I get home, let the dogs out because they need to go out. Go and get my workout clothes on. Let the dogs in to feed them. Go and get my exercise going. Now, there were those moments where I didn't feel like it, had a headache, all that stuff. So here's the way I did this. So maybe you're starting to get the picture of how I found where I was looking for a little escape hatch, and I filled that void. So, and I made sure that I wasn't going to escape. I created what I called a no matter what plan. And my no matter what plan was super simple. If I had a headache, if I didn't feel like it, if I was unmotivated, if I was running out of time, I made the commitment to myself, and I'm a person who keeps my word. I will show up at least 15 minutes. Even if my workout is 25, 30 minutes and I don't feel like it, 15 minutes is a non-negotiable. So I would show up for 15 minutes. If I didn't feel like it after 15 minutes, I called it a day. And so, and it usually was just 15 minutes that consisted of just the warm up and then maybe just a few of the exercises. I think there was only maybe 2 or 3 times I actually called it a day after the 15 minutes. Most of the time, I told myself just the 15 minutes, and I was looking forward to being done at the 15-minute mark. But I got into motion. I got into momentum. All of a sudden, it was going. I'm like, oh my gosh, I only have like 10 more minutes to go. Might as well keep on going. All I needed to do was get in the habit of showing up and in the habit of taking action. That increased my energy overall. I mean, it was just amazing. So what is it for you? Just imagine sticking to a simple routine that gradually elevates your energy. A lot of times we get into this mindset that it's got to be so spectacular, so amazing. It's got to be all or, almost an all or nothing sort of thing that we almost create the escape hatch. Like when is the escape hatch going to be so I can get out of this stuff? Let's just focus on the habits first. Many people and the people that I've mentored, we find that incorporating just these small little habits, even habit stacking a few things, it really doesn't alter the day much. It doesn't change the entire outlook of what's going on. There's still the to-do list. There's still the other things going on, but it makes it manageable and doable to keep going toward the goals that we want, as opposed to keep putting ourselves on the back burner. And then the benefits, productivity, more focus, more energy, more life. And, when energy dips, as it does for a lot of people, I mean, remember, you're not alone. You can head over, we can have a chat. Go over to talktoperry.com. That's where you can, we can discuss your goals, the hurdles, how to navigate those, because each person's different. Sometimes people are like, Perry, you don't know me. You don't know my story. You don't get what I'm dealing with. That's where we have that conversation. And together, we explore my Power of 5 strategy so that it can empower you. And then you can, tailor that so that you keep your energy tank full when your life is like going crazy wild, you can feel more empowered about it. TalkToPerry.com is where that's at. So let's not underestimate, and that's where a lot of times people are like, I was too, oh, it's so simple. And we dismiss the things that seem so easy and doable. Yeah. More vegetables. Yeah. More water. Yeah, I get it. Exercise. Yeah. I know what to do, but there's a gap between the knowing and the doing. And I'm helping you with a strategy right here to fill that gap, because the power lies in what is just the next step of change to get to that next step of change and build this bridge of belief across to the next step where instead of just knowing what to do, you're doing it. You're taking action. You're unlocking your reserve of energy and your potential. That for a lot of people, and I know it was for me, you didn't even know existed. It was like fantasy land for a while, and now it's like all of a sudden, wow, I'm more empowered. I'm consistent, and you use that as your ally. Then there's no limit to what you can do. So, start small and consistent, stay steady, and then watch your world start to transform around you. See, that's another thing. A lot of times people think everything's got to get figured out and all this life's got to settle down and all these things before the core of things can happen. But when you take care of that core of you and your being and your actions, it's amazing how the other things shift and don't become quite that thing that you've been making it up to do. So just know you can choose to use your power and take control, or you can, really you give your power away, let those control you and let it drain your battery. And that would be things like excuses, justifying why you can't, finding an escape hatch, like I said, comparison out there. Those are things that can really drain you. So it really boils down to deciding and committing to yourself and your goals and choosing to figure out new ways, looking at possibilities, learning and growing, and keep moving forward. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today, or maybe you've got a couple of those. Maybe you can tell me how it will apply to you. Drop those down in the comments there. I will respond to those. You absolutely rock, my friend. And I'm going to say it right. As always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to TalkToPerry.com. That's TalkToPerry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear, what's going on. I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day, I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness Community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to UpsideDownFit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find the show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.